we don't really need more how to succeeds, because think about this. Information alone doesn't create success. If it did, then everybody who ever watched a YouTube video, would be rich, happy, and thin, right? I mean, we'd all be rich, happy, and thin because you just go on YouTube, how to lose weight, how to have six-pack abs, how to make $1 million in your business. I mean, it's all there sitting there for free on YouTube. So why isn't everybody rich, happy, and thin?
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedlock, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Dr. Noah. Dr. Noah, thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So give us a highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
I am known for helping my clients make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the past 12 months while winning their lives back, meaning winning back 1 to 3 hours in their day and 4 to 8 weeks per year. So I'm basically the opposite of those hustle and grinders, all those guys out there that say, hey, you want to make more money? Here's all you need to do. Work 10 times harder and never see your family and don't take any breaks and just keep your nose to the grindstone all the time. Sound good? And I'm like, no, that kind of sucks. So no, I want to make money and have a life. Is that too much to ask? And so anyway, so that's what I help people with. So we help our clients get what I like to call hockey stick growth. They're kind of going along like this and then whoop, hockey stick, they just like go like double, triple their revenues really in record time. While also winning their lives back. So that's what I do, and we have a heck of a lot of fun.
I love it, and that's why I fell in love with you, and that's why I wanted you on the show. And any hockey analogies for me?
Right. Awesome. Who am I talking to? Exactly. Right? Hockey stick.
So how did you get into business and strategies as a thing?
Well, I mean, to give you the Reader's Digest version, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And I know that's a total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in a little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which is one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. Now, you hear these speakers all the time. They get up on stage. They say, well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, I wasn't happy. It sucked. And so, I hated that life of poverty, fear, lack, not enoughness. That's what I grew up with. But I saw that right down the street, there's great wealth and abundance. So I literally said from the time I was a little kid, how the heck do I get from here to there? And of course, there was no one to talk to. There's no internet back then, of course. And so I did the only thing to do, which is I went to the library and I just started reading books. I read every book that I could on self-help, personal growth, the classics, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Stephen Covey. And I really absorbed them. I immersed myself in those books, but as hard as I worked at it, I just couldn't get it to work. And so at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide. I decided to take my own life because I was so depressed, frustrated, lonely, and I just couldn't seem to find a way out. I couldn't see a way out. And so at the very last minute, my life was spared, but I didn't know why. And so I had to figure out, or I decided to find out, what is my purpose here on the earth? Why am I here? And so I went on another long journey, went back to the library, started reading more books on spiritual growth, right? And, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Ernest Holmes, all those kind of writers, Neil Donald Walsh and people like that. And so in 1997, I discovered my purpose, why I'm here on the earth. And it was really, it came down to what was missing in the traditional success literature that I'd spent all those years studying. And so now, I wrote my first book, which was entitled Permission to Succeed, back in 1997, 98. And then it was published by the Chicken Soup publisher, Chicken Soup for the Soul, in 1999. And then all these years later, now I've written and published 20 books. As you can see behind me here, these are some of my books, and these are some of my books in other languages, 18 languages now. Okay. And, it really was a matter of wanting to, number one, as Steve Jobs put it, put a dent in the universe, really, just to really help people and make a difference, make an impact. and really teach people something different that was not and still isn't being taught really with the traditional success and all the gurus that are out there, all the traditional success literature. And so it really is something different. And what happens is people come to me and hire me, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching, after they've gone to all those gurus, and they say, how come I'm still stuck, Noah? How come I'm still, hitting this plateau and I can't seem to get over it? I can't seem to get unstuck no matter how hard I work. So that's who I work with, and that's who we've seen, getting really great results from my methodologies.
Nice. I love it. And it always amazes me when people are very prolific writers. I almost want to start at the beginning and just follow the journey with you, because I almost think that a lot of people, well, they need to start at the beginning with giving themselves permission that they can do this and they need to do this, and that they have not only the right, but kind of the obligation to. And I think that because it's human to doubt, because it's human to have, the negative thoughts pouring in, we can't stop those. I mean, we can stop the ones that are coming in, but there's going to be more coming in after that. Don't kid yourself. Because as soon as you start getting things like payroll and stuff, you just have different ones. That's all. That's right. But if you have the platform to understand that it's going to happen, then I think that kind of traverses you through that whole journey. So in your experience, is that for a prolific reader, would that be an advisable kind of thing to do, is to follow that journey, or can we kind of start at the end and delve in?
Well, I mean, let me put it this way. I have books that are my most popular books, my most widely read books, which we can go through them if you want. Yeah, but I mean, that's the point, is that, really my work is all about, I mean, I can make the argument that I've basically written 20 books about one topic. And that one topic is what I like to call taking out your head trash, taking out the trash in your head that is in fact keeping you stuck and holding you back. So that is one of my books, called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. All right. So that's a place you could start. And by the way, this book is free. You can get this book for free at sendmeabooknoah.com. Send me a book, Noah. Easy to remember. Sendmeabooknoah.com, and I will send you the book. We just ask you to cover the shipping. But anyway, so, all these books that I've written are really about this one topic. Of course, taking different angles at it, about how to get out of your own way, how to stop stopping yourself from the success that you are perfectly capable of. And of course, the funny part about it is I wrote all these books for me because I needed them. I read everybody else's books and they didn't answer my question. I was like, okay, you didn't answer the question. I need help here, guys. So I had to write it myself, so that's really what these books are all about. And again, whether it's but with my online courses, with one-on-one coaching, with group coaching, it's really all the same. It's helping people to get out of their own way, to identify what's holding them back that they weren't aware of, because let's face it, nobody holds themselves back on purpose, right? Nobody is. I always like to say this to my clients, whether one-on-one or group coaching, or even when I'm doing keynote speeches, because I get to, as a keynote speaker, I get to speak around the country and around the world, to whether virtually or live. And I always like to say, listen, if you find yourself holding yourself back, realize that is not a conscious behavior. In other words, no one wakes up in the morning and says, wow, you know what? This looks like a great day. You know what? I think I'm going to hold myself back from success today. I mean, that's silly, right? I mean, no one would ever do that, right? Because, but it really goes back to that whole iceberg principle. The iceberg, meaning your brain, your mind is like an iceberg, right? About 5% is visible above the surface. That's the conscious mind, the conscious level. But the vast 95% is below the level of consciousness that's in the subconscious mind. And as I always say to my clients, it's not the part of the iceberg that they could see that sunk the Titanic. It's the part that they didn't see that sunk the Titanic. And also that's the part that's sinking you and me.
Right. And I think the brain gets really sneaky when it comes to that subconscious thinking, in that it goes, oh yeah, you've dealt with this already. You're fine. You don't have to worry about that anymore. That one's taken care of. Right. And we think we're successful, and we think we're moving forward, and we think we're doing things. And then we find ourselves not getting the results we want. And it's like, well, clearly they're my results. Is my thinking of go back to the drawing board and figure out where this all comes from. That's so right. I'd like to go through some of the aspects of your books, because I think that a lot of the verbiage around it has become, oh yeah, I know that kind of target or triggers. And I don't want people to see it that way, because I think it's vastly important to understand that wherever you're at in that journey, you need to have that breakthrough. And it's not going to come from, I know that. So if I can take you on kind of some of those, I want to really start at the permission thing, because I think it's vastly important at every stage, because I think a lot of people become kind of successful to replace their job income, and they're like, oh yeah, I deserve that. Of course I did. I was making that in corporate. And then it's like, well, you want to double that? Oh, you want 10x that? Oh, you want to, like, you really want to hire 10 people? I don't know. You really want to hire 100 people? I don't know. And I know people have these blocks at every level, because I've talked to them, right? And we have them. So let's kind of start back at the permission side of things. What are some of the more common, I guess, thinking that people have around the area of giving themselves permission to run a successful business?
Yeah, I mean, that was really the essence of my discovery, or one of my discoveries back, over 25 years ago, when I realized that we don't really need more how-to succeeds. Because think about this, information alone doesn't create success. If it did, then everybody who ever watched a YouTube video, would be rich, happy, and thin. Right? I mean, we'd all be rich, happy, and thin, because you just go on YouTube, how to lose weight, how to have six-pack abs, how to make $1 million in your business. I mean, it's all there, sitting there for free on YouTube. So why isn't everybody rich, happy, and thin? Well, because information alone doesn't create transformation. All right. And so that's one of the points, is that we need a heck of a lot more than just information, because let's face it, we're drowning in information at this point. Everybody's on overwhelm when it comes to information. I've been saying this for 20 years. We don't live in the information age. We live in the information overload age. We passed the information age 20 miles back. We're all on overload, And so we actually, ironically, one of the things that I like to do and need to do with my clients, whether it's one-on-one or group, we have to actually, cut through the clutter and do a lot less, do less, meanwhile, while making more, And so, because there's so many things you could do, it really comes down to a question of what should you do, right? Kind of like Jurassic Park, if you remember that movie, right? Well, we could do it, but should we do it? No, not really. Anyway, so the point is that, so when it comes to permission to succeed, what I realized is that there are millions of people who are unknowingly and unwittingly starving themselves of the success they're capable of. And that's how I came up with this term, this condition that no one else had ever talked about before. And I'm the person who discovered it, is called success anorexia. Millions of people are unknowingly, unwittingly starving themselves of success. And what happens is that shows up as different symptoms. But see, what happens is everybody else is just treating symptoms, right? So it's kind of like this. It's like, imagine if you had a toothache, right? And you're like, man, my tooth really hurts. If you ever had a toothache, you're like, you can't even think of anything else, right? It just, man, I'm in such pain, right? And so you're like, oh man, I don't like being in pain, right? So you go to the dentist and you're like, my tooth really hurts. And he looks at you and he says, oh yeah, you've got a cavity. Okay, next. And like, wait, what? Okay, I want you to fix this. Wait, don't just tell me what the pain is. I need you to fix it. He goes, okay, I tell you what, here, take some painkillers and then that'll dull the pain. And you're like, no, wait, it's time out. That's not what I want. I want you to fix the cause of the problem. See? But that's what happens in the world, our world as business owners, entrepreneurs. We have this pain, whatever it is, it's called, I'm not making enough money, or I'm working way too hard and I'm not seeing a return, or I can't find the right people, or whatever it might be, your particular symptom, right? But remember, the symptom's up here. The cause is down here. Okay. And everybody's up looking at symptoms. I'll give you a quick example of that. I talked about a moment ago about, head trash, taking out your head trash. And I was talking with one of my clients, and his name's Charles. And I said, Charles, how much do you think it's going to cost you if we don't take out your head trash this year? In other words, if you don't get this problem fixed, how much do you think it's going to cost you? And he, without batting an eye, he said $1 million. I'm going to lose $1 million if we don't fix this. I said, I tell you what, first of all, I hear that a lot. It's very common, that people are losing anywhere from, $500,000 to $1 million or 5 million or more, right? Because of just this one problem. But they're not treating the problem, they're treating the symptoms. Okay. So I said, I tell you what, let's say we do that. And I can definitely help you with that. Why don't you give me 10% of that $1 million? And I will find you that $1 million this year. So in the next 12 months, I'll find you that $1 million. In other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, yeah, that's a really good deal. I said, okay, well, let's do it. So he paid me $100K. That's 10% of $1 million, right? So I coached him for 12 months. And I didn't find him $1 million in that 12 months. I found him 1.8 million in 10 months. So he gave me $1, I gave him $18 back. Is that a good deal? No, that's a great deal. And not only that, he just got back from a 7-week vacation. He and his wife bought a new RV and they traveled the southeast of the United States for 7 weeks. He said, no, not only am I making more money, I've never been able to take a vacation like this. So that's the point I want people to realize, is that if you're holding yourself back, there's definite reasons for that, number one. But number two, there's a way that we can take out the trash and thereby find you that missing money that you are right now missing out on.
Nice. I love it. So talk to me about what somebody would be going through that they're looking at you going, okay, I clearly need your help. Is there something we should be doing ahead of time? Is there something that's kind of to prepare for the journey? What happens?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I can give you a free resource right now, and we call it the 7-figure scorecard. So I created this 7-figure quiz. And in fact, you can go to 7figurequiz.com. The number 7, 7figurequiz.com, and you can get your 7-figure scorecard for free. And it literally will walk you through how you are doing on the path to a 7 or 8-figure life, depending on what it is you want. We just like to say 7 figures because that's the level that most entrepreneurs really want to get to and have the most trouble getting to. Okay, is that 7-figure? I mean, that goes to my new book called The 7-Figure Life. But anyway, so 7figurequiz.com, get your free scorecard. But that's what I'm saying. It actually walks you through the process of where you might be stuck, in the areas of time, energy, relationships, and money. Those are the 4 focus areas that we work on and that we help people with, like Charles, for example. By the way, I want to mention something, because people say, well, Noah, isn't this all just about marketing? All I need is better marketing. And, of course you have to market. I mean, yeah, of course you have to do marketing. But let me give you another quick example. All right. I had another client named Adam, and his company was at 4 million a year, right? So doing well, right? 4 million, that's really good. The problem is that he'd been at that level for 4 years. He'd been plateaued, right? So basically like no growth. And he had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to all those marketing gurus out there, right? So he'd spent all this money on marketing, right? So he was doing well, right? 4 million, hey, that's nothing to sneeze at, but he couldn't break through that ceiling. And so he heard me speak at an event, and he hired me on the spot. I coached him also one-on-one for 18 months. And in that 18 months, we got his company from 4 million to over 20 million in less than 18 months. Talk about hockey stick. Whoop! All right. So going along like this, and wow. And what I want to say to people is that 99% of what we talked about was all about in here. I call it your inner game, right? Taking out your head trash. It wasn't about the marketing. He was already doing well with that. It was about the fact that he was holding himself back from the level of success he was capable of because of these inner game issues. And of the $2 billion that I've helped my clients make over the last 25 years, 95% of that is a result of inner game work.
I love it. And so, well, and there's, my brain's going a million miles an hour, and
Yeah.
I'm loving it because I have had clients in the past where they're like, oh, I just need the tactics need to work. And it's like, dude, you can do as many Facebook ads as you want to, and they're going to flop. You can take somebody else's template and it's going to flop. When you have the wrong mindset in place and you're keep telling yourself you're doomed to failure. So you got to get rid of that stuff first, or nothing's going to work. And like, you can even abdicate to somebody else and they may have a money abundance, and that works well, but then the money comes in and you're going to squander it or whatever. So like, you got to figure this stuff
You got to fix your inner
difficult.
game first. It's like building a house, right?
Yes.
You don't build a house from the outside in, right? You have to build it from the inside out. So imagine if you built a house and you forgot to put the electricity in. It's like, oops. Right. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs find themselves. They're like, wait a minute, I forgot something. Yeah, because nobody showed you how to work on your inner game. Again, Adam, Charles, I mean, go to our website, you can see, literally hundreds of case studies of people like that who spent so much money on all the outer game stuff. I'm not saying you don't need the outer game. You absolutely have to have the outer game. You have to do the sales, marketing, customer service, all that blocking and
That
tackling.
becomes easy once you've got the inner game.
That's easy, right? That's again going back to the iceberg. That's about 10%, right? The 90% is inner game. It's the 6 inches between your ears.
I love it. So talk to me about people who have created success and then, something happens, a divorce, a kid, whatever, and then it crumbles, they build it up, it crumbles, and they're like, okay, I've done it before, I can do it again, but it's not happening. Because I see a lot of that right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, people hire me, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching, after they've gone to all those gurus, and they just keep hitting that ceiling. I literally call it the income ceiling syndrome. You just keep hitting that ceiling no matter what you try. And the point is that the income ceiling is really, again, a symptom. It's a symptom. The problem is head trash. That's the main problem for 95% of the people that I've coached over the last 25 years. And that's point number one. Point number two is, if you're only treating symptoms and you don't treat the root cause, the symptom always comes back, right? Just like that toothache example, right? If you just keep taking painkillers and you don't actually fix the cavity, what happens to the cavity? It gets much, much worse. And then you might lose, your whole side of your face or something, so it's really, really bad. So the point is that we've got to make sure that we are focused on the causal level, as I call it, rather than the symptom level. By the way, I just want to mention something for, the folks watching. If you have, let's say you've been reading self-help books or, going to all these self-help or personal growth seminars or whatever, and you're still seeing that income ceiling, I want you to realize that it's not your fault, because the treatment that's available, that's out there still, and this was true 25 years ago and it's still true today, is that what those guys basically say is, hey, if you're sabotaging yourself, don't do that. Really? Wow, that is so helpful. Thank you. I never thought of that, right? It's like, yeah, it's basically like saying to an anorexic, right? So someone who has anorexia, hey, why don't you just eat? Really? I never thought of that. Thank you. So helpful. Are you not, you know what I mean? But that's what they're saying. They're basically, and what's so funny about that is those are the people who are unconsciously competent at allowing themselves to succeed. So that's another one of the things that I realized 25 years ago, is that, wait a minute, when you're listening to these gurus, they're unconsciously competent at actually allowing themselves to succeed. That means they don't have this head trash. That represents like the 1% of humanity. Meanwhile, the 99% of us are going around saying, I don't think I can do it, right? We have thoughts of it as head trash. So like I said, I wrote these 20 books for me, but also the 99% of humanity that isn't like these clowns. And it's like, wait a minute, we need real solutions. All right. So that's what really my work is all about. And I mean, I'll give you another quick example, because this is a great story. I was working with a business owner named Tamisa, and she's an entrepreneur in Arizona, and really great, vivacious, great personality. And she is a recovered seminar junkie. That's her term, right? That's her words, right? She's a recovering seminar junkie, meaning she will go to all these personal growth and self-help seminars and books and everything like that. But she just kept hitting that ceiling that I was talking about, that income ceiling, right? And so a friend recommended her to me. She started working my group coaching program, which is called the 12-week breakthrough, because we help people make more in 12 weeks than they did in the last 12 months, like I was talking about earlier. And so, I started coaching her, and we worked through, head trash and all these things. Well, she tripled her investment in just 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, she tripled her investment. And we hadn't even gotten to the money part yet, right? And then she decided to do something really different for her. In fact, something she'd never done before. She decided to enter a bikini contest. And she came in the top 5. And guess what? She's 69 years old. 69 years old, entering her first bikini contest. How about that? As she said, I had to get rid of tons of head trash to just enter that bikini contest. And good for her, right? I mean, isn't that amazing? At age 69, entering your first bikini contest. So not only she made more money, she's got more self-confidence than ever. And, her whole life changed.
Nice. I love it. So who would you say is kind of ideal and primed for working with you?
It is the person who has spent a lot of money, time, effort on, all these gurus, whether it's marketing, whether it's self-help, or both. But that's what we see, is that when the person has tried everything they think, and everybody says the same thing. And I always say, yeah, you're right. They all do say the same thing. They're all basically regurgitating each other's crap, and there's no real there. And I know that because I paid all those guys over $750,000, $750,000 over the past 20 plus years, only to find out they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. And what they're amazing is they're very, very good at promoting themselves. This is what you notice if you really look, they're really great at self-promotion, but they suck at teaching. They really can't teach. So there's a very strong difference, I should say a big difference between being able to be a good coach and teacher and being a great self-promoter. Those are very different skill sets. Okay. So frankly, you got to be careful of people who are really great at self-promotion, because it's like, okay, maybe you're great at promoting yourself. And, here's my helicopter and here's my, whatever private jet. But okay, have you helped anybody else? So for, the folks watching, you want to make sure that you do your research and you find someone who has case studies that aren't just about themselves. Because when you look at those gurus, that's what it typically is I made all this money. And it's like, well, that's great for you. Have you helped anybody else? Because that's the difference between personality-driven success and system-driven success. System-driven success means it's, fill in the blank, paint by numbers, plug and play. You literally get the checklist. That's what I paid them all that money for, and I never got it. I was like, I just wanted you to tell me what to do. I paid you to tell me what to do, and you never told me. And it's like, man, that's aggravating, right? And you see how worked up I get about it. Anyway, but the point is that there's millions of people, sadly, who got burned by these guys. And so that's why I'm like the internet marketing cleanup crew at this point. I got to clean up after these clowns. And that's the point, is that those are the people that, I love to work with, because they've already tried lots of things. And it's like, why do I keep hitting the ceiling? And it's because of everything they didn't tell you.
So if that describes you, and I'm sure it does, I know our listeners are going to want more from you. So how did they start their journey with you?
Yeah. Oh, man. Best way is go to breakthroughwithnoah.com. Just like it sounds, breakthroughwithnoah.com. And you can watch my new video training on how I help my clients make more in just 12 weeks than in the past 12 months while winning their lives back. So that's breakthroughwithnoah.com. You can also get the 7-figure quiz. As I mentioned, get your 7-figure scorecard. That's free, 7figurequiz.com. And if you want to get the head trash book, sendmeabooknoah.com. Sendmeabooknoah.com. Basically anything with Noah in it is me. So you can just go to, and if you want to go to our main website, my name, noahstjohn.com, you can check all that, different books and programs and stuff. But Breakthrough with Noah, I think would be a great place for most folks to get started.
Nice. I love it. So peeps, we will, of course, have all of Noah's links in the chats, and some of them are affiliate links, so you don't have to tell them that you came from me. They'll know. And some of them, just contact them directly and go, hey, I heard your podcast from Michelle, and we love that too. So click down there, start that journey. That is awesome. Now, I get to ask you at this point, at what point in life did you know that you're especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I didn't know what an entrepreneur was, when I was in school or whatever. I never even heard of it. I never heard of anything called marketing, and I mean, I was a professional ballet dancer in my teens and early 20s. So I'm the only person in this industry who made a living lifting ballerinas. I know for sure. I'm the only person that did that. And so, I just knew that what I didn't want. And in my, mid 20s, I worked in corporate America, and that was when I decided to commit suicide. Those two things are very related. Okay. That's not unrelated, because I literally, when I was working in corporate America, I honestly woke up every day feeling like someone had their hands around my throat. I literally thought that I was just going to die, because it was so awful. And I just looked ahead 40 years of my life going, this is it. This is my life. And I went, I'm out. I mean, this is stupid, and I don't even want to be here. So, the internet, of course, wasn't around, back then. But I've been online since 1997, over 25 years now. So I started off as, the youngest kid in the room. Now I'm one of the OGs, and I got the gray hairs to prove it. So, but this really has been an amazing journey. So I never planned on doing it. It came because of the frustration, that I was talking about. And it came, and I know that's how so many entrepreneurs get started. They see a problem and they say, there's no solution, so I guess I'll just make a solution. And that's why, I love entrepreneurs, because that's their mind, that's their heart. that's their vision, is to change the world, to make the world a better place, to solve problems for people. And so that's why I feel very privileged to do the work that I do, helping so many other people to become the best versions of themselves. And that's how we raise the consciousness of humanity and make the world a better place.
I love it. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Yeah, just make sure you get the help that you need. I mean, help is available. And if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling scared, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, there's too many things coming at me, realize that help is available. I gave you our website, of course. Michelle has wonderful resources as well. So all of you listening to this program, you're very, very smart to be listening to this wonderful person here, Michelle. She's a brilliant, brilliant teacher, brilliant woman, great coach. So just avail yourselves of the tools that are available so you don't have to do it alone anymore.
Definitely don't do it alone. And if you haven't touched on any of those emotions as an entrepreneur, I guarantee you will. When you do, come back to this podcast for those links. It happens. Trust me. Awesome. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I know how valuable it is.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedlak. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention. You do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap. They offer full implementation as well, if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.